So, the topic of today's presentation is political corruption. Please sit back down and enjoy the presentation. The idea of political corruption has existed ever since humans began to follow leaders. Whether it be the seizure of the citizens' assets by Egyptian pharaohs, or the many bribes taken by the Roman Senate, it has been a thing since forever, and it is no surprise that it affects us to this day. It can be argued that the current Rome is the United States. Its government is unique even among other democracies and republics, ruled by three branches, each with unique functions and limitations, as well as a number of checks and balances between them. With a country as large and unique as the US, it is no wonder corruption also affects us. I want to focus specifically on an event that defined an entire generation, an event which began the year I myself was born, the Iraq War. To truly understand the Iraq War, one must know the context behind it. Firstly, 9/11, the tragic attacks on the World Trade Center in 2001. This caused President Bush to order the invasion of Afghanistan, where bin Laden, the supposed perpetrator of the attack, was in. Now you might wonder, if bin Laden was in Afghanistan, why did we invade Iraq too? Well, here's one of the first points I want to go over, the lies of the government. The Iraq War began on the idea that Saddam Hussein, who was already weakened by the Gulf War a couple years earlier, had weapons of mass destruction, and not only that he supported Al-Qaeda. However, it should be considered that in that same year, the UN sent inspectors to Iraq, and they did not find any WMDs. Not only that, according to a 2008 Senate Intelligence Committee report, most of the intelligence that was used during the lead-up to the war was not good intelligence whatsoever. Not too different from the Gulf of Tonkin incident that began Vietnam now, is it? The government lied. The grass is green. Big deal. Well, these lies cost us 4,431 American lives. And you know what else? Made a lot of people very, very rich. The most famous example of this, of course, being the company Halliburton, of which the former vice president at the time, Dick Cheney, was the CEO of. According to Business Insider, Halliburton made $39.5 billion over that decade. That is an insane amount of money that would have been best used by the American people. So Iraq costed us thousands of lives and a few $1 billion in contracts, and it also stripped away some of our rights via stuff like the Patriot Act, which increased the overreach of the government into our private lives. What can we do? It may not seem like the average American can do anything against schemes like this, especially nowadays when division is rampant across our society. But there are some ways one can try to bring about change, and it all falls back on the concept of political awareness. But what is political awareness, you might ask? Well, it is a simple concept. It involves simply being informed of the nature of politics around you. It can range from anything from investigating the interests and possible conflicts that might arise from a candidate being elected into office, or simply reading proposed bills, or being aware of what bills are being put on the ballot. It can help you make the first major step in combating corruption, this being making an informed decision on the ballot. Once candidates are in office, however, things get a little bit harder. There are two ways for a single person to combat corruption, or at least try to mitigate its effects. The first only works on the local and state level, however. This process is known as the recall election. It has been used to put into question the competence of certain governors and other officials, most recently in California last year. Once on the federal level, the best one can do is talk to their representatives and ask them to perhaps begin the process of impeachment, if one feels like it. Granted, this may not lead to anything. However, ultimately, the best one can do is vote.